All right, midweek update, and we're rolling back a few of yesterday's pivots based on matchup shifts, ownership moves, and the news cycle. At quarterback, we're pivoting back to Lamar Jackson at 6,700 with a dash rank of 100. Yesterday, we were on Josh Allen for ceiling and correlation, but Lamar's ownership has slid to 8.83%, and he draws Pittsburgh, who have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 27. He's projected for 19, averages 18 fantasy points per game. And while the recent 10-7-7 string has kept the field off him, that creates ideal tournament leverage. The news supports a Lamar-centric plan this week too. Multiple reports note Baltimore's injury problems arriving at the worst time as the AFC North race tightens, which tends to funnel more usage back through the quarterback's legs and quick game. Add in the narrative buzz around Lamar's rhythm and leadership getting national play, and we're comfortable taking the ownership discount in a favorable overall matchup with a proven starter whose projections are reliable. At running back, we're staying put with Devon Chain at 8,800 and a dash rank of 100. The Jets have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 24. Projection is 21 with 22 fantasy points per game, and he's sitting on 22, 25, and 44 in his last three. Ownership at 19.7% is warranted for that ceiling. News at the trade deadline that multiple teams called Miami about a chain underlines league confidence in his profile. We're not overthinking elite efficiency in a favorable overall matchup. At wide receiver, we are reversing yesterday's move and going back to Justin Jefferson at 6,900 with a dash rank of 100. Washington have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 30. He's projected for 15 with 13 fantasy points per game, and the recent 2-9-11 has depressed ownership to 10.93%. The news cycle helps our thesis. Jefferson publicly called this one of the most difficult seasons of his career, and national analysts have been vocal that Minnesota needs to appease their star wide receiver. That squeaky wheel setup, plus a very favorable overall matchup, is exactly the kind of midweek leverage we want. At tight end, we're pivoting back to Trey McBride at 8,000 with a dash rank of 100 after we tried saving salary yesterday. The Rams have a tough defense, overall by opponent rank at 7, but McBride's role is elite. He's projected for 17 with 19 fantasy points per game and has ripped 22, 17, and 31 in his last three at just 10.17% ownership. The news backs the volume. He's enjoying a breakout season, leading the NFL in receptions and all tight ends in receiving yards in his push toward All-Pro consideration. Even in a tougher overall matchup, bankable volume at modest ownership wins at this position. For the flex, we're moving off yesterday's correlation-heavy Bills piece and onto Kenneth Walker III at 5,600 with a dash rank of 100. Atlanta have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall by opponent rank at 16. He's projected for 12 with 11 fantasy points per game, and recent 10, 13, 20 at essentially 0% ownership. The news flow has him among players with a lot to gain over the final stretch, and after a slow start he's stabilized. This is pure price-adjusted leverage that fits better now that we're off the Buffalo stack. On defense, we're off yesterday's Broncos and onto the Rams at 3,800 with a dash rank of 100. Arizona have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 27. The Rams are projected for 8 with just 4.2% ownership and recent games of 2, 18, and 9. We like the pressure rate against a mistake-prone opponent and the modest ownership at this tag. Quick value pool update. QB Shedeur Sanders at 4,400, dash rank 100. Tennessee have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 28. Projection 15 with ownership 4.13%, and recent 11-11-3. He's lined up for a third straight start per reports, but the news that Deshaun Watson returned to practice introduces risk. Also note projections are less reliable for quarterbacks who have not started at least 3 games. We'll use him as a salary release in large fields. RB Ray Davis at 4,100, dash rank 100. Cincinnati have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 31. Projection 2 with 6-6-0 in his last 3 and near 0% ownership. Strictly a deep punt that benefits from the matchup. Use sparingly. WR Devon Vell at 3,700, dash rank 100. Tampa Bay have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 26. Projection 8 with recent 23, 7, 3 and 4.77% ownership. He's coming off a spike week and remains a viable pairing with value quarterbacks in this pricing tier. T.E. Dalton Kincaid at 4,300, dash rank 79 is questionable. Cincinnati have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 31. Projection 9 with 1% ownership and recent 0-0-0 due to the hamstring. Reports indicated he was set to miss another game recently, so monitor closely. If he sits again, we pivot down or use Dawson Knox. Flex Dawson Knox at 2,800, dash rank 50. Cincinnati have one of the worst defenses overall by opponent rank at 31. Projection 5 with 4.13% ownership and recent 6-5-3. If Kincaid is out, Knox is the cheap beneficiary and a fine punt. DEF Saints at 2,300, dash rank 39. Tampa Bay have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall by opponent rank at 13. Projection 6 with 6.47% ownership. Pure salary relief if you need it. You're betting on volatility and short fields. To summarize changes from yesterday's video, we're back on Lamar Jackson for ownership leverage in a favorable overall matchup. And because Baltimore's injury situation likely concentrates usage, we're back on Justin Jefferson for squeaky wheel volume against one of the worst defenses overall. We're back on Trey McBride due to elite role despite a tough defense overall. We're swapping the flex from James Cook to Kenneth Walker III to decorrelate from Buffalo and gain low ownership. And we're moving defense to the Rams for matchup-driven pressure and turnover upside. We're holding Devon Achane because nothing material has changed in his projection, role, or favorable overall matchup, and trade deadline interest remains a strong signal. We'll keep monitoring the Saints receiver and Browns quarterback situations along with Kincaid's status and update if anything materially shifts.